Welcome to the Superintendent's Hangout, where we discuss topics in education, charter schools, life in general, and not necessarily in that order. I'm your host, Dr. Sciarretta. Come on in and hang out. In this second episode of the Superintendent's Hangout, I have a chat with 3 committed middle school educators who've identified a need in their school and are addressing it through a system of mentoring that's based in relationships and positive examples of how to make changes in our students' lives. Hope you enjoy this wide-ranging and at times comical conversation. All right. Welcome, you guys, to the Superintendent's Hangout. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
There we go. As you can tell, this is a very serious conversation. Welcome, Cindy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting us.
And Mo, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So we're going to start out by just trying to learn a little bit about each of you as a person before we get into the programs that you've launched and the work you're doing with middle school kids. And so let's start with you, Veronica. If you could tell us what brought you to education and what motivates you to do the work you're doing.
Okay, well, what brought me to education? I guess I really wasn't interested in education before I was going for nursing, actually, but I did homeschool my kids for years and years and years, so I was a little bit involved in that. And then I have a lot of friends that were teachers as a homeschool parent. A lot of them were actually teachers. So one of my friends kind of got me into education a little bit more at the high school she worked at. She said when they needed people as an aide in special education, and I didn't have any experience or anything, but she said just come and apply, and you're gonna be good. I've known her for years, so I did, and I started out actually at King Chavez, and so the high school, and I applied, got hired, and the principal at that time there told me that she was only hiring me because my friend, which was a great teacher, she trusted her and stuff, and she said if she said I was good, then she believed her, and I better be good. So I was there, and I was good. So so I stayed, and I loved it. And then I came here. There was another opportunity, so I applied over here, and I got the job here. I've been here at AEA for 7 years. This is my 7th year, and I love it. I love my job. I love the kids. The thing that motivates me is definitely the kids. I mean, how can they not motivate you? There's just something going on every day, something different. All the kids they're just great. They're kids. Kids are great. So that's my motivation. And I also have kids at home. So, well, not so much anymore. I have older ones, but they were part of that motivation too, because they're a good support, and so that helped out a lot. And that's why I'm here. So
all right, thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we'll circle back on some of those themes. For everybody listening, shout out to King Chavez. That's another charter school here in San Diego near downtown. And when folks on this podcast refer to AEA, it's Albert Einstein Academies, and I'll put as many of these abbreviations and links in the show notes as I can figure out how to do. All right, Cindy.
So my background has nothing to do with education. I studied international business in Mexico a while ago, and I was working in logistics in Otay Mesa for a shelter company before coming here.
What's a shelter company?
So a shelter company is a company that grabs materials from the United States, imports them into Mexico, builds things, and then brings them back.
Maquiladora stuff.
Maquiladora stuff, yes. So that's what I was doing before. And then I decided to have my second child. And after that child, everything changed. She was a baby that insisted in having me with her 24/7. So I stopped working for 6 years. And then once she started kinder, Perla from Albert Einstein Elementary, she invited me to join the safety crew there. And that's when I started working with Albert Einstein, and it has been very rewarding. I never thought I would feel the way I feel about working with middle schoolers. Everybody always said, "Oh my gosh, they're the hardest people to work with. Middle schoolers are just they're the hardest part of being a human." And I don't know if I never grew out of being in middle school, but I love working with them. Like, I second what Ms. V said, and just like every day is a different experience with them. Every day there's different drama, there's different accomplishments, and I think that's what keeps me going. I think if I ever was not around the students, I would not feel the same way I do right now.
It's interesting. With middle school kids, I think we've clearly all gone through middle school ourselves as students, and we kind of forget. I don't know if we selectively block that out of our memory. Our parents probably haven't forgotten how we were.
Yeah.
But I always talk about, it's probably the most energetic time that people have in their lives. There's still that potential energy, and if you can motivate and harness that, the kids can do great things at that age.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah. Tell us real quick what the safety crew is, rather.
So safety crew is a group of people that will look after all our students. They do so much around campus, from cleaning messes to feeding children to just making sure that they're not taking forever in the restrooms. They do all the hard work. Shout out to SST. I love being a part of that group. So that's what we do on campus. And then they also have the SST team in the elementary, and that's I believe they're called safety crew over there. And they get to hang out with the little ones with their little cute faces. But like I was SST at the elementary, and I was an SST in middle school. It's completely different. At the elementary, you have all these little kids coming up to you and saying, "Look, can you open my juice box?" And that's the highlight of your day. In middle school, you have all these kids coming to you with really difficult situations that you have to make sure you know exactly what you're going to tell them, because it can affect a very serious part of their lives. So, I don't know. That's as much as I can say about SST.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I think when we think about schools, when most people who don't work in schools think about schools, they think there's a bunch of teachers and a principal.
Yeah.
And a vice principal if kids get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I think of it as a restaurant. A restaurant's not just made up of the wait staff who smiles and greets you when you come in. If that was the only people in a restaurant, you'd never get any food, right? So you've got all these layers that are all equally important and have roles to play. And without them, without the person ordering the food and stocking the shelves and making sure the drinks are where they need to be, the wait staff have nothing to serve you. And so that whole ecosystem working together. So I appreciate that you called out the safety crew and recognized them. And not to mention that they're a little bit like the U.S. Postal Service, rain or shine, snow or sleet, hot weather, cold weather. They're rocking
true.
it in the yellow shirts. And so,
and you don't always get the smiles and the giggles. You know, you get the hard stuff, like why can't I spend more time at the restroom?
Yeah.
And my job was to tell them, no, you're here. Your job is to learn. You have to go back to class.
Yeah.
So you can be the villain, but you can also be the good person.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing that. Mo, what brings you to Albert Einstein Academies and education in general before we launch into specifics?
Well, what brought me to Albert Einstein? Well, let's back up, because you kind of asked like two questions in one. So what got me into education? Growing up, I struggled in education, but I struggled with wanting support that I didn't get. So somehow, some way, like this life gathered me up, and next thing I know, I look up and I'm in education. But when I look back at it, I ask educators or anybody that I get the opportunity to. My questions are always, out of all the time you spent in school, how many teachers you felt supported you? So then, some people may have that number high, it could be 7, 10, right? Some people may say 3. So then my next question is, how many of those people were males, right? And then my next question is, how many of those students are African American males? And that's the reason why I'm in education. And then your next question was, how did I land at Albert Einstein? Well, I was working. I think at the time I was working for King Chavez Prep. I think that's their elementary site, and I was a site supervisor for the after school program. And here I am. I have all these students coming in. I'm trying to get to know them. They're trying to get to know me. I'm a new face. And then one student told me, they were like, yeah, this is going to be my last day because in a couple weeks I'm going to be going to Albert Einstein. And I was like, Albert Einstein, what's that? And so they were like, oh, it's this great school. It's only like 2 blocks away. We got to wear a uniform, but besides that, it's an awesome school. And man, I ended up looking up Albert Einstein, and they had positions open. And next thing I know, I had an interview, and I got the job, and I've been here for 6 years.
Thank you for that, Mo. Well, actually, if we were on YouTube right now, well, he's not really rocking the typical attire, but speaking of uniforms, if on any given day you were to roll by Einstein Middle School, keep an eye out for Mo. He's usually head to toe in polo, usually in, let's just call them bright colors.
Yeah. So true.
In fact, somewhere out there's an article, I think, from San Diego Magazine where he's on the cover. So if I can find that, I'm going to link it to the show notes.
Miss Julius has it at the library.
Oh, look at there we go. So
Awesome.
for his fans out there, little known fact about Mo, that he was working here for a while, and then one of my colleagues, who I respect very much, in another charter school, was trying to hire him away. Trying to poach him, and we have that kind of relationship. So he called me up and he goes, "Hey, you know that guy Mo?" And I said, "Yeah, but no, don't. We're not going down that road."
He's ours. He's ours.
So we stopped there. But Mo Mo caught his eye, and I think it might have been on the basketball court that he caught his eye.
Yeah.
So that was back when Mo used to play basketball more consistently.
That's a funny story. That's a funny story. Parenthood
has a way of getting in the way of basketball careers, though. Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you for the introduction from each of you, and now I'd like to kind of pivot a little bit to the purpose for today's conversation and the reason that I really wanted to reach out. And again, thank you for coming and hanging out for this amount of time. And I know you're all three of you are busy. What really caught my eye was the fact that Cindy and Veronica organized a group for middle school girls who they kind of handpicked, and I'll let them talk about that in a minute. And then that Mo has done the same thing for middle school boys, and both of the groups are kind of they're in their infancy, in the sense that they're in their first year, and so I'm sure there's a lot that's gone well and a lot of lessons that we still need to learn, and so we'll kind of walk through that. So let's start with the girls group. I've been someone didn't get the memo about cell phones. I'm not going to say who that is.
Not me.
Oh, it's okay.
Meanwhile, everybody check your cell phone.
Everyone's checking
Check
their
yourself
phone.
out, yeah.
I left mine in the other room just for that very reason. So I've been corrected. I have been calling the girls group Girls Up, but it's actually Girl Up. So why don't we start there with the name and what that says about the group, and I'll let you guys tag team for our listeners, explaining the purpose of the group, how it came to be, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, so we'll start with Miss V because this is Miss V's baby. I'm just helping.
Well, no, you're a big, more than help. But, well, should I just start how it came up?
If you're on an elevator and someone's like, "Hey, you got a Girl Up shirt," what's up with that?
Our
How
girl,
did you get the idea?
our
Yeah.
Girl Up Club, way back when I started, maybe about 6 years ago, because Mo was in that conversation, I think, way back then. I'm pretty sure you were. The principal was planning to start a boys' club, and it was going to be like a gentleman's club. And anyways, I overheard the conversation, and I was thinking, hey, what about a girls' club? We need a girls' club, And so the wheel started turning in my head, and just I kept that in the back of my mind. So year came, another year, and I kept thinking about it. And as you get to know the students and you work with them and you're in the classroom with them, and they talk to you, they start trusting you, they open up to you, and you realize, like, wow, there's really a need for something like that. I started planning it. So I started planning, and I was, what kind of club could we have? What's the subject? How are we gonna? Is there curriculum? What do I do? I just had all these ideas. So I had to put it on hold because of COVID. So the pandemic had made us put a lot of things on hold. So the pandemic hit, and so I couldn't really do much except just keep thinking about it. so then we came back, and I was like, okay, it's on. I'm gonna. The boys' club didn't end up happening then. So I really wanted to, there was just too many conversations I had with girls, mostly these young ladies, and they just needed a little bit more support and information, and things like that. So I came up with a girls' club. Actually, last summer is when I really sat down and put together my own ideas, and the club, I wanted it to be like a little more of, like, I don't know, like a health. I love health. I wanted to be a health teacher. I went to school to be a health teacher and stuff, but so I wanted to teach a little bit more about young women and what they go through. I don't know, and they're not anything like health education or any like sex education or anything like that, but just in general, like, our brains with, through development and all that stuff, and emotions, and just all that stuff that these young girls have trouble with. And so I put together I guess a curriculum, and I made a bunch of slides, and I shared them with my well, before that, then I wanted somebody to help me, because I knew I was going to be able to do this myself, and it was going to be a lot. So I got to know Cindy last year, and we had a lot in common. The kids, I noticed that the kids went up, talked to her about things, and they just loved her. And I was like, okay, this might be the perfect person, because
We love the gossip.
yeah, stuff like that. So then I approached her, and I said, hey, I'm going to do this girls' club, and check it out. I shared all the work I did with her, and Go ahead. I don't know.
I think it was during summer, right?
It was during summer.
Yeah, we sat one day and she was telling me about her idea and how she wanted the girls' club. And I told her that I had seen a lot of holes, not in education, but in just the information that these girls needed on a day-to-day basis. Like, you can't be at the park with homeless. You're a little girl. Even though you're not fragile, you're still young, and you need to know the dangers that there are around you. So we started talking about like different subjects and different things that could help them, and that was during the summer.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of have like a mentorship program, you know, like be mentors to girls that we handpicked. And
how did you select the girls who are going to participate?
Well, so the girls that are involved are in 7th grade, and so we decided 7th grade would be a good grade to for us to have this club, because in the 6th grade we can get to know all the kids, and they're kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say just all at-risk kids. It's just, some, I don't know, the ones you notice that have more negative attention. I don't want to, they call for negative attention, I guess. There were some kids that fought often, and, or, just were at the principal's office, or just had more questions, or, it's just, I say, they're just negative attention, like seeking out negative attention. And so, kids that are not making good choices and stuff. So yeah, we got together one summer and we went through everything. We planned.
We had about 20 girls, right? When we first started, like naming all the girls from 7th grade that we felt like this connection with, and they would come to us because I think we're on the same path, but I feel that they needed that little hug, or that little positive attention. So we made a list, and there were like 20 girls, and out of those 20 girls, we said, okay, so who are we gonna get to do this for the first time with? And I feel like at least on my side, I chose the girls that I knew were closer to me, because they needed that extra attention. And I think you did the same thing, right? Yeah.
So it sounds like it's has a lot to do with relationships, right?
Correct.
The mentoring and using the terminology of a hug, for example, to describe kind of the gesture of this group. How do you maintain a welcoming environment that's at some level based on a relationship, but then at the same time give mentorship to girls and sometimes have conversations with them that maybe are tough conversations, or have to give them really direct feedback? Like more like you're kind of spanning like the mentor, parent, friend, triangle all at one time.
Well, I think that building that relationship. That's why I think we decided for 7th grade, because then you can build that trust in 6th grade, and by then, they're coming to you anyways for advice and or to chit chat, or just even to hang out. Like, who wants to hang out with the teacher? Like they did. So I think building that relationship while they're in 6th grade, and just gaining their trust, because I think that's what it is. We all trust each other, and we're honest with each other, and we support each other. So like, they do a lot for us too. I would say, like, they teach us a lot. So
what do you mean by that?
Well, my motto for why, one of my mottos or whatever is, I always said I wanted to be that person for these kids. Like, I needed somebody when I was in middle school and high school, in school, just in general, and I didn't really have anybody. So I hear these kids say the same thing, and I do not want that for them. Like, I don't everybody should have somebody. And if there's more than one of us, and it's just, you put yourself out there, and they put themselves out there, and you just learn from each other. It's just,
they pretty much come to you.
yeah.
Like the kids will come to you if you give them enough space.
Yeah.
It kind of connects a little bit to what Mo was talking about. And in a minute, he'll talk about the work he's doing. Is like, he had as he puts it, a rough time in school, and didn't really see himself reflected in the adults. And it sounds like what the two of you are doing is similar to that. Cindy hasn't told us that she didn't see herself reflected in her school, but she's giving me a funny look right now. So that may also be the case. But I think, in all seriousness, the importance of having a person, I reflect now. It's been many decades since I was in middle school, but I don't remember any lessons in the classroom. But what I do remember is a few people who made a difference, either positive or negative, in my life. And I remember I had a teacher, and she's since passed away, but Ann Eaton was her name. And Ann Eaton, I remember I was in 7th grade, and I'd been suspended twice in the same year. I was going through a really hard patch. And I remember I'm home at night, and the phone rings. And my mom picks it up, and then she says, "Hello." "Oh, yeah, he's right here." And she hands me the phone. And it's the voice on the other end. She was British. She's like, "Hello, this is Mrs. Eaton." And I'm like, "Oh, I just got suspended from, I think I was throwing a Chinese star in the bathroom or something." And kids don't do that. That was not a good choice.
No.
And so she's like, "I will be by your house in 10 minutes. I'm like, "What?" Of course, I find it after the fact. My mom helped orchestrate this whole thing. Ann Eaton pulls up. I remember she had like a little Volkswagen Dasher, which they don't make anymore. She's like, get in the car, and we drive to Haagen-Dazs. It's like 5 miles away, silent the whole time. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was coming off like a 3-day suspension. And we go to Haagen-Dazs, sat there. I had my strawberry ice cream. And I remember I'm like halfway through, and I'm like, my hand's shaking and stuff. And she said, "So do you know why I invited you out?" I'm like, "No, for ice cream." And she's like, now when I think back on it, it's like pretty obvious, right? But she said, "You're going to have, imagine a road in life, and there's a fork in the road, and you're at the fork right now. It's coming up. The fork is high school for you, like in a year and a half from now. You go right or left. And one way is going to be a lot easier and make you feel a lot better than the other way." I'm like, I don't think I said anything the whole time. Got back in the car, drove home. But I remember that. And that's like 40 years ago. And there's other people, coaches and people and she didn't have to do that, So I think the beauty of it sounds like what the two of you are doing is you're trying to make that more systematized so that it doesn't have to rely on some teacher or someone like that going above and beyond, because you can never, it's a game of whack-a-mole if you're going to do it that way. But if you can do it proactively enough, so you plant those seeds with 15, 20 girls in 7th grade, each year do that, and maybe it expands in numbers, right? You plant enough seeds that it can change the culture over time. What has been... I know it's in its infancy because you're like, 3 months in or so?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What are some activities that you guys have done?
So we have a Miss V planned a lesson each month, and then after that lesson, we have an outing related to that lesson. So I'm never going to forget the first time we took them out. We went to Roar Park. What was our first lesson, Miss V? Our first
was physical health.
Physical health.
Shout out to Bonita, CA,
Yeah.
91902. You should have stopped by my house.
So we went to Roar Park, and so I'm not used to having children cuss. I'm just not, even though I work with middle schoolers. I'm just not used to that. And I remember we took them to Starbucks right before we started our hike. And they were cussing like crazy. I think it was just the freedom of not being with family members, and they were cussing and like trying to fight other people. And something you need to know about our group is that we have two sides to said group. Miss V is the very caring, nurturing, do whatever you want kind of thinker. And I'm very much of a, no, you can't cuss in front of people because you just can't. Yeah. And you have to behave. That's what we're teaching you. So we were at Starbucks, and they started cussing. They started saying all these things. And I just sat with them, and I said, hey, I'm your friend. We all get it. You know how to cuss. But the truth is, I don't like it. I don't like how people see us. I don't like how people judge us because of your cussing. And I said, well, what do you think? Can you stop cussing in front of people? And they all looked at each other, and they were quiet for a second. And they're like, yeah, we can do it. And that to me was like, really? You can stop cussing? Like, that's a thing? Yeah. And after that, we had the greatest hike. Yeah, like, we hiked, what was it, a mile? It was about a mile. I don't even know. It was about a mile. Yeah, and they hiked with us. And these are girls that are always complaining about everything. Yeah. They're always, oh my God, the stairs. Oh my God, this. So they hiked. They didn't fuss once. And then they said, hey, can we go to the playground? And I was like, oh God, what are they going to do at the playground, right? Because I didn't know them in that scenario. Yeah, they're seventh graders. So, yeah, exactly. We got there, and they told Miss V and I that they wanted to go to the monkey bars. So we took them, and they were playing like little kids. Yeah, they had the time of their lives. Yeah, Miss V and I were like climbing on ropes and like swinging, and like if there would have been a sandbox, we would have been building stuff. But the fact that they're still kids, they're kids, and they're learning. Is just like you said at the beginning of this episode, we're learning from them. And something that I learned that day is that even though they act tough, even though they're older, they still want that moment of being a child. Then our second outing was at the beach, right?
Yeah, beach. Yeah, we did a beach cleanup.
We did a beach cleanup, and they all had their buckets, and they all cleaned. And then our third outing was last Saturday for the winter market. And shout out to our girls because they did great.
Yeah, they had a volunteer.
Great. They were serving Kinder Punch. They were serving waters, coffee.
Arts and
crafts. They worked. They definitely worked. And the volunteers saw it, and they were very grateful. And the girls got all shy and started hiding behind us. But we're just so lucky to have this group of girls.
Even when we did, the beach cleanup, because our outings, I wanted them to be geared to a volunteering, so they can get out there and get involved with things that they've obviously never done before and stuff. So we the second outing when we did the beach cleanup, there was a man sitting at a table, and he told them all, thank you for doing this. He was giving them props and stuff, and they were surprised. They're like, oh yeah, nervous because who does that, so they after he came up and he talked to me, I told him a little bit about the group, and he was just happy that somebody was out there, cleaning up the park and stuff, and that we had these girls out there, and they were actually doing it. They did a good job. We went around, the bay and cleaned up, filled our buckets. So that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, just getting them to do something that's a little bit out of their comfort zone, so they can have a different experience and
get used to doing things that they would normally not do when with family members. I've heard comments before where it's like, well, why are you gonna go clean? Like, why are you gonna go clean the park? That's
you didn't make that mess.
Yeah, you didn't make that mess, or are you getting paid for that?
Yeah.
And I think it's a cultural thing. So we're trying to get them to understand it's not just about you. It's about your community.
Yeah.
It's about the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're slowly, but they are getting it.
Yeah, we notice a different from even, I was talking with Cindy the other day, and just from day one to now, even when in our group, they'll sit, and at first, man, it was all over the place, just trying to get their attention and just, you guys listen, but
Mr. Mo.
yeah, but now, they hear what you have to say a little bit better,
We got through a whole lesson without having interruptions
and stuff. So that's progress. That's great. Yeah, that was like, wow, oh my gosh, they're doing good, and so that was a good,
In this line of business, we have to measure our wins. I personally feel like everybody should measure your wins just throughout life, but when you work in education, I truly feel like you have to really measure those wins, because the wins could look different for each individual and just in general. A win can be something as a student came in today, and before that student hit somebody on the head, they took a seat first.
Yeah.
Right? A win can look like a student actually raising their hand and saying something that ties into the lesson. That's a win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when working with youth or just in education in general, measuring your wins are so important.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for that, and I'm going to pause you and have you think about the greatest challenge you've faced. They'll come back to you with the answer to that, but I want to pivot to Mo, and so I think that Mo's comments are well timed here. So the Girl Up started, and soon after, you began formulating maybe a revival of a previous concept that Veronica was talking about previously before COVID. So tell us kind of where you are right now with that work and what it looks like and where the future is going to lead.
Yeah. So, we had to do something for the boys, because Girl Up, they're just crushing it, as everybody could hear. So that kind of put the boys, that kind of put our backs up against the wall. Like, what are we going to do? To the listeners out there, you guys don't have the opportunity to work with these two. So like I do. So I can walk through the hall. For example, like there was one day I'm passing by, and I see the two of my coworkers over here like in a huddle, and I knew it was something. So I went over there to peek my head in, and they were making the invitations to join Girl Up. And the invitations were so dope. For those of you that don't know what dope means, that means awesome, cool. They look good. And I was like, okay, all right.
Stepping up the game.
Stepping up the game, right?
Yep.
So we had to do something. And in the past, we did have a boys group. But to be honest, I think the boys group started only because we had staff that had an issue with a handful of boys, and they believed that if those boys were out of their classroom, then the classroom can get ran smoothly.
So perhaps not the best motivation to start a group.
Correct. And from what I was told from staff, it was, hey, Mr. Mo, we have this list of boys. We just need you to take them the last period of the day. I was like, take them? It's like, yeah, just take them. It's like, all right, what do you want to do? Anything, just get them out of here, right? That was a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. So with those group of boys, we created a small boys group, and the things that we spoke about in that group was building ourselves, building our self-esteem, building ourselves as characters. And I personally think it went well, but it was new, and it just happened. overall, at the end of that boys group, we had a good turnout. We did see changes in students' behaviors, but from my standpoint, I felt like that was just the tip of the iceberg. I felt like, excuse me, I felt like that there was so much more work to be done. But like I said, measuring our wins, I loved what we did with the boys back then, but I knew that there was just more work to be done. So fast forward, this year we started a boys group. The pitch was was way different from these teachers, and I got the list. I think when I got the list, it was about like between 26 to 30 boys.
Where did that list come from?
Good question. The list came from Principal Trackus. In the midst of that, Dr. Diaz gave me a couple names, and then just a couple of 8th grade teachers just gave me a couple names. So, and that was outside of that 26, that list of students that Principal Trackus gave me. Now, I think Principal Trackus got these group of students due to just behavior and classroom performance. I don't think that these guys' grades were the best in those categories. So I guess the idea was, well, let's create a boys group. So creating a group like that, I knew that 26 for a group was a lot, especially to do the work that we wanted to do. But at the same time, I didn't believe that all 26 was going to show. So even though the numbers were huge, I was focused on how many are actually going to show up. So what I knew was the boys knew that there was some form of a group coming, but they didn't know what. And they also were kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, right? So I had boys say things like, you know what, Mr. Mo, Tuesday, I got soccer practice. What? Nobody even knew you can play soccer, but
I'm starting.
Right. So that, but like I noticed like more questions were being asked of me from the boys, and that made me smile. That was a win for me, because that meant that the students were talking to one another about it. I had a student that said, down here at the bottom of the invitation, it says it's going to be an hour. I only can stay for 30 minutes. I'm like, perfect. I think the student thought that I was going to say, oh, well, you can't show up. But I told him show up still, because my standpoint is, if I could get you in the room, perfect. I just need the 2 feet in the room, and us as a class would do the rest. So our first group, we had like 4 boys show up. Our second group, we had 12 boys show up. I think by like our third group, we had like 12 to 15 boys show up. And the cool thing about that is I did not go to students and pull their leg. I had the students communicate with the students. So what I mean by that is I heard boys saying things like, oh, man, you missed boys group last week, or, man, are you in boys group? Or one day I was walking down the hall, and a student yelled out his math class. It's like, hey, Mr. Mo, is it like that? I was like, what do you mean? It's like, I didn't get an invitation. It's going to be like that? And that right there let me know that we had something.
And what type of activities have you done, or are you planning to do, or what does an average session look like for the boys?
Okay, so we haven't been anywhere yet like the awesome girls have. Activities that we have done. Funny story. Our first activity, it was called Make a Playlist. The reason why I picked this activity first was because, just like I said a couple minutes ago, we had students that was was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So with that, I knew whatever activity that I bring to the table, my first activity, I have to bring it. Because if it's something traditional, if it's something like we're doing a get to know you, how many brothers, how many sisters, if that type of thing, I felt like that would have lost them right away. So I did this activity. It's called My Playlist, and this is how it goes. You have to create.
You gonna sing?
No. you have to create a list of songs that you listen to throughout the day, or just over the course of time. With those songs can be anything, but all your job was to list them. When you list those, then that's when the questions kick in on when do you listen to that song. And so the amazing part was we had everybody participated, and there was this one student who said one thing that he would like to earn or get from the group is to build confidence in himself. And the whole time, like, I'm like, man, when I see him, I believe that he has the confidence, but he doesn't see that, right? However, the same student, one of the songs that he shared with the group was Elton John, I'm Still Standing. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, when do you listen to this song? And he said, anytime that I win, anytime that I play a video game that takes me forever, anytime that I had a good day, this is the song that I play. I'm still standing.
That's cool. That's cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're still planning some outings or other kind of experiential stuff.
Yeah. So as far as outings, we're still planning. If anybody could think of anything, please share it with me. But our activities, I have my curriculum all down packed. Another cool thing that I'm doing is asking male staff on campus to check in and having that male staff share their story on how they got to where they're at. I believe one cool thing for our students to see is to hear from their teachers from a different light and to see their teachers from a different standpoint. I think that helps tie the knot in some areas with our students. I think for some reason our students think that we're superheroes and they just think we're just here at school all day. It's funny, I was at the grocery store over the weekend and I seen one of our students, and they looked at me up and down and said, "Mr. Mo, you go here?" I was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, I gotta eat too." So,
yeah. Mr. Mo, what are you doing with that orange juice?
Yeah.
The same thing you're doing with your orange juice.
One last thing, David.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I kind of got off topic. What I want to add, right, about our playlist, about that activity. Another reason why I chose to use music is because the whole time I'm thinking, what is something that all of us could connect to, all of us tie into, even if we don't know each other, or even if we don't speak the same language. And the two things that I came up with was we love to eat, so food, and music. And then it made me think of, well, what are the two main things that we all just tie into? So I thought about parties. I was like, yeah, everybody like to party, right? And then I was like, no, I'm missing it. What takes place at the party? Either one or two things. The party has good food or bad food. The party has either good music or bad music. And every time, no matter what, you would hear somebody say, "Where's the food?"
Where's the food?
Right.
Or who picked the music?
Who picked the music? Right. Those are the two things. And so I was like, I'm gonna start off with the playlist. And I think it worked because, like I said, that next group we had like double the numbers.
And you said something, sorry, you said something super important. You said, I had to bring my A game because
Yeah.
that sends the whole message. And I feel like with us, every time we see all 8 girls in the room, it's like, okay, we did something right. They're coming back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
They keep coming back. So it's always it is a bit of a pressure because if the last lesson didn't go as planned, if they didn't like it, you always think, well, they might not come back the next lesson.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have my curriculum like down pat, right? I know each day we're going to talk about this, but what tends to happen is, let's say at the end of a session, somebody may say something or something may happen that day that I'm like, oh, this ties into week 22, even though we're on week 1. And so I find myself moving stuff up on the calendar.
I think we've done the same,
moving stuff down. And I think it's a great thing. I think, and the reason why is because I think that we're listening and we're observing, right? And we're really paying attention to our students.
Yeah. That's definitely, like when you said non-traditional, that's totally what I was going for. Like I didn't want it to be the typical classroom setting and scene, and I wanted it to be more personal, so the kids could open up a little bit more and just,
like a party,
like a party, and just come and I mean, we have food at ours every time.
And we have like 10 minutes of gossip, and then it's like, okay, now we have to now we have to stick to the
yeah.
But
and our topics are like are things that the students can relate to, or even if they don't have much knowledge about it, great. That's why we're there. So like one piece is about friends and what does a good friend truly look like. Right, and the skill sets that comes with that, and it makes them think, because it's like, well, I would like my friends to look like XYZ, but then not only that, am I being that XYZ that I want to have? So, just it's layers, but change doesn't happen overnight. But I think we do some good stuff.
I always say too, like we don't see the change right away, like you just said, but even if we don't see it, you're just planting that seed at least, and hopefully, someday somebody will.
And it keeps showing up,
that's
right?
And
they keep showing up. That says something. Like they keep showing. If it wasn't something that they liked, they wouldn't show. They'll go and do whatever, right? But they still show up, and so that's another win.
So that's an interesting part of this, right? That it's not part of a mandatory compulsory day where kids have to be in school. So ultimately they can vote with their feet,
right?
And not show up. I guess you could put some sort of a rule that they had to come, but it sounds like the kids are starting to build their own culture with your support, their culture of accountability, that goes beyond adults telling them what to do. So that gets me to my next question, just in general, and then I am going to ask you about your biggest challenges for anyone who's thinking about doing something like this in their organization or their school. But where do the parents fit in? So, these are taking place after school, so it's an hour or whatever after school, and so I'm assuming there's a parent permission component, and that it's not only, okay, here I'm going to sign that Johnny can attend, but like I have to trust that what's happening in that group is productive for my kid. So how do parents fit into this whole thing?
You girls want to go first? You want me to take it?
So for us, it was really important to have the parent component very present. We started out by calling each one of the parents and making sure that they had all the information. We emailed them the curriculum and asked them, if you have any questions, please let us know. This is what we're going to talk to your girls about. And every single one of our field trips, we call them, let them know, what's going to happen. I remember for our beach cleanup, the girls asked, because there's always a give and take.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, so we'll clean up and we'll get like buckets full of trash, but can we get into the beach
water.
at the end? So
In the winter.
In
the winter,
fully clothed, fully clothed.
Miss V and I had jackets and hoodies, and they were in the
And they did
the
it.
beach.
They were in the water.
Yeah. So we made sure that we got permission from the parents for them to go
Yeah.
into the beach.
Mhm.
And also knowing that they were going to volunteer for like the winter market.
Yeah.
We've been keeping them in the loop.
Yeah, there's definitely check-ins, and if we have any questions, or if they have any questions, they'll call us.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
gave them
mhm.
all like our personal cell phones and like our emails. We gave them all the information just so they are aware. And I've had conversations with parents that it gets really serious where they are like, you know what, we don't know what to do with this, with our child. They're out of control. So we're probably going to take them out of Grow Up. And I've had to talk to them and say like, okay, well, just think about it, because like this is the one thing that's helping her like try to make good decisions, and like we just don't want her to leave. Like it's also a commitment. So I feel like we've involved the parents as much as we can, but we also want to respect the fact that these girls are learning certain information that their parents already know. They know it's curriculum-based information, but we also want to keep their feelings private if they tell us to, unless it's something very serious. And
I've
we need to
gotten
tell parents.
I've gotten good feedback actually. Just even this last volunteer work we did at the Winterfest. There was a one of the parents was just saying, oh, you know, it was funny. It's in Spanish, you know, but she was saying how happy she was with how her daughter was doing, and you know, her grades have been going up, and like who would have thought she would even want to volunteer, you know, and that thank you for doing the work you're doing with them and stuff. So we've been getting good feedback from parents, I think, and
Parents and teachers too.
Teachers, yeah, you definitely they notice it in the classroom, which that's a big win.
Yeah.
Like just even yeah, that's a good. I love when the teachers come and say like, oh, they did this in the class and they finished their work, they got this good grade. They told their peer to like, no, don't do that, or just even
Your
correcting. Yeah, your girls, and we're like, what? Yeah, nice. So yeah, that's the feedback has been really good. It's been really good. So that's good.
Can I add? There was a story, and I'm kind of getting off topic, but we can edit.
There's
we
no
can edit.
off topic.
Yeah.
All right.
We're leaving it in there.
All right.
If we leave Cindy's cell phone and Miss V's cell phone,
Nobody
and,
knew it was my
Now
cell
they
phone.
and Miss V's
Coughing
So
in
cough
the back.
attack,
while
yeah.
I'm trying to-
cough attack.
Sorry.
We're leaving everything in today.
And we didn't even check on Miss V to see if she was okay. We just kept.
No, we
it
kept.
running.
Come on, man. We
kept it going.
got what's like that
Fine,
Allstate?
fine.
What's that
It's okay.
Allstate commercial? They said, "Oh, my tens of followers are going to be hearing." The tens of listeners are going to be hearing the coughing.
I made it through.
We're like, she's breathing. She's okay.
No. What I wanted to add, like one cool thing that you girls shared with me was there was about to be a girls' fight,
Mm-hmm.
but
Which one?
But
I
wait,
know.
watch
I
this.
know.
But then one or a couple girls in your group told the girl, don't do
Yeah.
that.
It's not worth it.
No, they said you're gonna get kicked out of Girls Up.
You're gonna get
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna get kicked out of Girls Up.
Which-
Not you're gonna
Hey.
get suspended from school.
Girl
you're
up.
gonna
Girl,
yeah, girl up.
Which-
sorry,
which-
sorry,
The
girl
club.
up.
which, by the way, we've
wouldn't
never
have done
told
that.
them
Yeah, we wouldn't
that
have
they're
done
gonna
that.
get.
How cool
taken
is
out.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they've held each other very accountable for their
Yeah.
actions.
Yeah.
They've helped each other out. They've created this bond, and we really like seeing the love they feel for each other.
Yeah.
Because like
that's
I
really-
would even
j-
like
just
I call it
a little bit of compassion and empathy for somebody they usually don't hang out with
Yeah.
or wouldn't.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I bet. I had to share
Yeah.
that one. But
Yeah,
you did
no,
ask the
that's
question
beautiful.
about
That's
the
beautiful.
parent involvement.
Yeah.
So for boys group, it's roughly the kind of the same as far as with the permission slip piece. The parents have to sign it. Also on the or it's more of like an invitation. We have like a GQ magazine invitation,
That's awesome.
right? And then in inside of it though, it breaks down what our club is about and examples of things that we're going to talk about. And then at the bottom of that, that's what the parents sign. Parents sign it. The student has to sign it as well. And then parents have my contact information. They can always reach out to me. There's some situations that's like different for others. Like I have a student who parent wants me to let the parent know anytime that the student shows or don't show. But then I have other parents that's just like, I know he's there. So the parent involvement is huge. I would like to bring in parents just for like certain pieces, like for parents to talk. But then at the same time, I don't know if the boys would like that. So I do a lot of. I connect with the boys about a lot of stuff because it's like it's our group. It's not my group. It's not your group. It's our group. So, but yeah, parent involvement. Shout out to the parents.
Absolutely. Ms. V, you brought up
Yes.
the colleagues, the teaching staff, and that they come up to you and say, "Hey, your girl that had this success in class or whatever." How do we take, and this is for all three of you, how do you take the lessons that the students are learning in these mentoring groups and expand them to every day, every classroom, every interaction on campus, and hold every adult accountable for working with the students on a personal and supportive level? Because the risk that I could see in something like this is, it's Mo's kid, or it's Cindy's kid. And while you may have a closer relationship and a more supportive mentoring relationship with that student's with 4, 5, 6 different teachers, and then they're also out in unstructured time and they interact with people in the cafeteria and they et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it can't just be an isolated island of excellence when it comes to that. So how do you expand this out?
So I'll go first on this one. Well, so you gotta break it up. It's kind of like that saying, how do you eat an elephant, right? And the answer is piece by piece. So what that looks like for us is with the students, for example, like inside the boys group, we talk about, well, I have the boys write what's things that they want to improve on for self. And those things are academic, those things are personal. So just and you don't have to give me a list of 5 on each. It's just at least one thing of each, right? And so I refer back to those things for them in the class. So for example, like today there was a student that I had to check in with, and my thing is, you gotta what we practice is what you have to use in the game. Right? And in the game is in the classroom, at home, out here in the real world. So when you talk about when we talk about respect and what that looks like, there's levels of respect. So in the classroom, like today, the student was like, well, they kicked me out of class. I don't understand why I got kicked out of class. All right, well, what happened? Well, I was doing my work, but then I got up and went to go sit with my friends. The teacher told me to go back to my seat, and I told the teacher, give me 5 seconds. So then the teacher sent me out. So now from Mr. Mo's standpoint, right now, like I'm like in between, right? Because I got my coworker here, I got my one of my students here, right? I personally feel like, oh man, like you shouldn't get kicked out of class for that, right? But I'm not going to share that with the student like that, because then now it creates a divide. So I have to eat this elephant piece by piece. I have to connect with the student on their actions, right? We're not going to focus on your homeboy or your homegirl. We're not going to focus on the teacher. In this scenario, we're going to focus on self. Could self have done anything differently? If so, what? If you can't think of that, great, no worries. That's why I'm here, and I'm going to walk you through those steps of things that you could have done differently, right? So that's how we support the student. And then when it
now
comes
to the interesting part.
Right. When it comes to the staff, I feel very good at. I believe that I could talk to all the staff without putting the two fists up. But with the staff, it's like, can you? I always ask my co-workers, have you noticed a win today out of Miss V? If you say no, then I could say, well, today did Miss V come in and take a seat? Yeah, well, that's a win, right?
Point them out.
Right? We got to point out the positives, right? Yeah, did Miss V yell out today? Yes. How many times? 20. How many times do she normally yell out? 30. That's a win, right? It don't get me wrong. It's not ideal, right?
It's like the pick and choose.
You got to pick and choose your battles.
Everything doesn't always have to be a battle.
Your battles. There's a boy in boys group who yells out. He just blurts out. It's just sometimes he could be on topic, sometimes not. Right? But this is the cool thing though. The times that he is on topic, he's yelling out the right answer. But since he yells all the time, all the teacher here is yelling. So the teacher's on his case about raising his hand or ignoring him, versus flipping that and saying, for example, David, that sounds like a good answer. Next time, raise your hand, and then moving on. So,
thank you for that. That's the sensitive part of this, right? Is it's not just none of it's one-sided.
No,
it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
What about your experiences with the girls?
Well, we have a commitment, right? So we wrote out a written commitment that they had to sign, and we have our own commitment that we had to sign as well. So everything that we have the girls do, we do it also, you know. So in one of those commitments, it says the things we learn here in something like that is in the group, we have to practice it out in the real world or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it says, but so, you know, if we're teaching patience, you're going to practice that. Like, what does it look like, you know, in the class? If you respect, whatever it is, you know, whatever we talk about, they're pretty, like Cindy said, they hold themselves accountable. It's more like, did you do this? Are you doing this? You know, like,
and each other.
Yeah, more, you know, and, you know, give them something important and they'll, you know, what do I want to say? It's like, it's important to them to keep that commitment. I would say, like,
I feel like once they have a set goal, it's easier to get there. When they have 20 goals, it's just harder. For at least for our girls, if you tell them, okay, just focus on this one thing. I just want you to focus on being respectful. It makes it a little easier than, no, you have to be respectful. You only have to use the restroom 5 times a day, or 5 times a week. You only have to do this. Like, if you set like small goals, I feel that at least for our girls, it's way easier for them to be able to complete them than 20 goals.
Yeah.
And I noticed, and you guys please correct me if I'm wrong, but with our students, when we use these words like respectful and being safe and all these things, their world of respect and their world of safety is much different from what it's the school-wide rule for safety or respect. There's so is it like that?
Yes,
Will you
absolutely.
agree to that? And I think that's one of the things that's like the missing link, right? Because a lot of times in the classroom, we will hear from the students like, that teacher don't respect me. But then from the coworker standpoint, we hear from our coworkers that student doesn't respect me.
And it's funny though, because once they say like, oh, let's say that teacher, are you okay, Miss V?
Yes, I'm
Round
okay. Thank
two.
you.
Right.
She's still breathing, folks. She's okay.
Just so in our high-tech studio, we don't have cough buttons, obviously.
Provided
Sorry,
by Miss
guys.
V.
Sorry, guys.
This episode was brought to you by
Right.
Hall's Mentaliptus cough drops.
Yeah, I get your business standpoint. You're trying to give us nice.
We have sponsors that grow
right,
up.
Right, we got sponsors.
No, I just totally forgot.
I
My
know.
No, you were talking about the
respect
and the expectations.
Oh, yeah.
just
So-
different understandings.
Yeah,
of-
and like sometimes when you get a student and they're like, oh, they don't respect me, they didn't even listen to me, Miss Cindy, and I said, okay, so what happened? And then they start telling me the story, and I just look at them. I don't even say anything. I'll just
listen.
look at them, and they're like, oh, that happened. Okay, yeah, I see where I went wrong. But that didn't happen at the beginning of our group. Like they were just really hesitant. Like they were not listening. The teacher was not listening. And now you just look at them and they're like, I see. Okay, I see what happened. Yeah. So that's a big one for me.
And also, so I gotta, because our girls are seventh graders. So we did go to the seventh grade teachers and, tell them that this is what we're doing with these girls, and we'll be checking in on them, keeping an eye on them, and for them also to hold them to, that standard, and I got to say the seventh grade teachers, they've been doing really well, actually,
Shout out to the seventh
shout out
grades.
to them because they've been very supportive, like super supportive, which helps a lot because, we can't, they're in the classroom most of the day and so they've been really supportive, of our group and of the girls. And so, yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right. So we're already at an hour, almost an hour and a quarter. Time
Nice.
flies when you're having fun. So I'm going to wrap up with one more question, and then I'll give you each an opportunity to have one final comment, should you so choose.
Yes, David is the best superintendent ever. Yes.
Oh, that's what's written down
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
huh?
that's
Oh,
what's
okay,
written.
sorry.
Yes. He
Read off the memo.
No,
Read
no,
off the memo.
Awesome.
No. So the question is, what's been the biggest challenge that you've faced so far? And if you could be specific about it, and then, with thinking of people in another setting, at another school, or perhaps at Albert Einstein Academies who are trying to do something similar at different grade levels or on our elementary campus, for example. What could they learn from that biggest challenge that you faced?
I think for me, I'll go first, guys. Put your hands down. It's okay. I think for me, the biggest challenge has been something that Miss V said earlier, where she said, we're just planting the seed. We might not see it grow in the time that we have with them. For me, I like fast results. So knowing that they're still making bad choices, they're still doing all these things, it's just like, I just told you. So I think one of the things to keep in mind when you have a group of middle schoolers that you're trying to mentor is know that you're not going to always get results. We've seen results with some things, but other things that they're so ingrained in their culture, they're so ingrained in who they are, it's going to take more than a semester, more than a year to change. So for me, not knowing if I will ever see those kinds of results has been the hardest part.
Yeah. it's a little bit like being a parent, right?
Correct.
We do things when our kid's 5 years old, and it might not pay off until they're 45.
But you get to
years old.
see them, and with these
Well,
kids,
some
you might not.
Well, yeah, so you get to see your own kids, but I can tell you that they turn 18, 19, 20, and you don't see them that much anymore, right? So, Miss V.
Oh man, I think my challenge, I mean, I totally agree with what Cindy said that is, but if I have to pick something different,
Well, you could just say the same thing. And
I
just
agree.
Say, ditto,
No,
ditto.
but honestly, the hard thing, one of the hard things for me was actually because we chose them, so is choosing which you want everybody. You want all the girls that you talk to, that you come in contact with, and that come and share their lives with you and stuff. But there's only a certain amount of space. I mean, there's two of us, but there's a lot of girls, and that's why we decided to do like 2 different semesters. So we have one semester, one group of girls, next semester another group of girls. I was even thinking 2 different groups next semester. I don't know if we can do that, but and there's a lot of girls that come up to us and are like, we want to be in the group, or when are we going to be in the group, and so just figuring out who's going to be, it sounds maybe even simple, but that's a hard thing to do. Like, I don't, yeah, I wish we could put more girls, but a small intimate group like that is better than, I think, a big, a lot of kids. That would be then, what it would be like a classroom. It would look like more of a classroom, and
and also like the whole getting their attention.
Mm-hmm.
When you have
A
8
big group.
girls in one room where
That's still
everybody's
hard.
talking,
yeah,
it even with 8 girls, it's
Mhm.
still a little hard. So
Yeah.
it was a little heartbreaking to say, well, maybe
yeah.
we can do this one
or
next semester.
kind of picking the girls that would kind of vibe together,
Mhm.
and stuff, and there's so that's challenging. You got to figure out who really, I mean, everybody needs it, but who you really want to get down and deep with, that's a
who you can have an impact on.
that's a hard one. You want to have a big list, but you got to start little somewhere. So
Great. Thank you for that, Mo.
One challenge for me is time, because for the boys group, we meet every other Tuesday, and we're doing so much work that I would like to meet a good 2-3 times a week. But I personally don't have that time, and then I'm the only staff doing boys group.
Any plans to add another staff member?
Yeah. I would love to add another staff member. I thought we had one this semester, but things happen.
So anyone out there in the podcast sphere,
Yeah,
Mhm.
please.
contact Mo.
Yeah, please. We will love it. So yeah, that's probably one of my challenges out of many.
Well, I thank all 3 of you, and I just want to say that the students are the ones who benefit most from this, and I'm pretty confident that years and years from now, rather, when they look back on their time at Einstein, whether they remember a specific lesson or not, they will remember their time spent with you. In my last week, I spoke with a former Einstein student and about the work he's doing in high school, but it was all prompted by a conversation he had with one of our staff members when he was in middle school about leadership, and the staff member challenged him to take on a leadership role. And so, these are lessons that sometimes we're not even familiar. We are not even aware that we're imparting something that's going to carry on long after we're gone. That's the beauty of this profession. And so I thank you for your service to our kids and to the example that you are giving to our community, to our parents, as well as to your colleagues, that with some initiative, we all face time challenges. We all face constraints in our lives. We could all be doing something else in our free time after work, but I applaud and respect the three of you for your commitment to our kids. And I'd love to have you back perhaps at the end of the school year to look at how these programs have evolved and changed, and what more learnings you have coming from them.
Before you hit the button, may I
Yeah.
say one last thing to the
Yes.
viewers? My biggest thing, my takeaway out of this is I want to be that one staff that our students, when they look back, they say, man, in middle school, we had this cool staff. His name was Mr. Mo. That's what I want.
That's a great place to end this. Thanks to the three of you. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And go out and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for joining us for the Superintendent's Hangout. Check out the show notes for any links that we discussed in today's episode. You can also follow on Twitter at DVS1970. Thanks again for hanging out.